Start close up, dimly lit. Show the texture of a rumpled duvet, lived in, warm. A single heavy paw draped over your arm. Hold the shot for 3 full seconds before speaking. It's 3 a.m. You're lying there, somewhere between awake and completely gone, and you try to shift your legs just a little, just enough to find a cool patch of sheet. But you can't, because there's a 60-pound animal pinned to your ankle, breathing in that slow, rhythmic way that sounds like a tiny engine left idling in a warm garage. Look directly into the lens. Faint smile. You could push them off. You've thought about it. You've even started the motion, hand reaching toward their side, and then stopped. Because the weight of them, the specific, dense warmth of a dog who is fully committed to sleeping on your feet, something about that keeps you right where you are. So you stay cramped, legs at a weird angle, neck slightly wrong, and somehow, weirdly, you sleep better than you did the night before when the bed was empty. We've been told this ruins their discipline, that it creates bad habits, that a responsible owner keeps the dog off the bed, on the floor, in the crate, separate. But here's what no one's actually talking about. What's happening in both your brains during those hours? Because it isn't just comfort. It's biology. And once you understand it, you'll never feel guilty about that paw on your arm again. Lean back slightly, arms crossed but relaxed. The energy of someone who has heard this argument too many times. Now, let's address the thing your uncle said at Christmas, or the trainer at PetSmart, or basically every old school dog advice page on the internet. The bed is a dominance issue. You're letting them take your space. You're losing your pack leader status. Short, dry laugh. Honestly, that's such a load of garbage. Actually, wait, let me be more precise, because it's not just wrong, it's outdated in a very specific, embarrassing way. The dominance theory of dog behavior was largely based on studies of captive wolf packs from the 1940s. Captive, forced, together, stressed. Researchers have since completely walked that back. The same scientist who coined the term alpha wolf spent decades trying to get people to stop using it. Your dog sleeping on your bed is not a power grab. They do not have a meeting scheduled where they plan to take over the bedroom and establish a territory claim. But here's the fear that is real, the one that keeps people second-guessing themselves at 3 a.m. The fear that by letting them this close, you're making them too dependent, creating some kind of separation anxiety time bomb, being the soft owner who will regret it later. That fear, we're going to look at it directly. We're going to look at what the actual sleep science says, what's happening neurologically in both of you, and why that spot on your bed might be doing more for your dog's mental health than any crate ever could. Lean forward slightly. Conversational. Warm. We're going through 7 things that are actually happening when your dog shares your sleep space, things most people have never heard explained properly. Stay for point 7 especially. It circles all the way back to this moment, right here, and reframes something so ordinary that you probably stopped noticing it completely. Small smile. Genuine. If you're a dog on the bed person and you're tired of defending it, subscribe. Let's get into it. Here's something that sounds almost too poetic to be real, but it's been measured in a lab, so bear with me. When you and your dog have been sleeping together long enough, your breathing patterns and heart rates begin to sync. Not perfectly, not like clockwork, but in that loose rhythmic way that happens when 2 calm bodies occupy the same space for hours at a time. Researchers studying human-animal sleep have documented this kind of physiological attunement, and the effects on cortisol, your stress hormone, are measurable in both species. What this means in real life is that specific moment. You know the one. You've finally stopped scrolling, turned off the light, gone completely still, and your dog, who's been half watching you with one eye open, lets out this long, shuddering sigh. Not a sad one. The release one. The one that comes from their whole rib cage and sounds like they've been holding something since morning and only just now put it down. That sigh isn't random. That's their nervous system clocking yours and saying, okay, we're done for the day. The behavioral books focus a lot on what happens when dogs are awake. Commands, boundaries, stimulation. They don't spend much time on what shared rest does to the bond. And that's a gap. because this quiet, synced up stillness at the end of the day is doing real biological work on both of you. Which brings up the question of why they need to be so close while it's happening. That's where it gets interesting. Sit slightly sideways, more casual now. Here's the thing about dog sleep that most people don't realize. They aren't fully off the way we are. Even in deep sleep, some part of your dog's brain is still running a background process, tracking sounds, monitoring movement. If you get up to use the bathroom at 2 a.m., they often know before you've even moved. They're responding to a micro shift in your breathing, a change in muscle tension. They're monitoring you, even while they're dreaming about whatever it is they dream about. And yes, this is also why you wake up to a cold, wet nose pressed against your cheek sometimes. They've detected that you surfaced into a lighter sleep stage, and their system flagged it. Small laugh. The sheets are covered in fur. There's a specific kind of grime that builds up on the pillowcase that you don't fully want to think about. Your partner has been accidentally elbowed by a dream-running leg at least 4 times this week. This is not a glamorous arrangement. But here's what's real underneath all of that. For your dog, proximity to you is security. It's not a preference. It's a deep, instinctive read that says, if danger comes, I am next to the safest thing I know. When you understand that, the wet nose at 2 a.m. feels different, less annoying, more like something you'd probably do too, if you love someone that completely. More direct now. This one needs a little edge. Let's dismantle something properly because it keeps coming up. The idea that sleeping on your bed makes a dog disobedient or confused about hierarchy assumes that dogs apply human furniture logic to their understanding of social structure. They don't. A dog who sleeps on your bed and a dog who sleeps on the floor have the same capacity to learn sit, stay, and leave it. The mattress has nothing to do with it. What actually affects obedience is consistency, clear communication, and trust, not elevation. I used to believe the opposite of this. Genuinely. I kept my first dog off the bed for 3 years because I'd read that it was the correct thing to do, and I wanted to be a good owner. Pause. All I actually did was create a dog who slept right outside the bedroom door, pressed against the gap at the bottom, trying to stay as close as the rule would allow. The rule wasn't making him more independent. It was just making him uncomfortable in a quieter way. The real question isn't, does the dog sleep on the bed? The real question is, do they have a secure, trusting relationship with you? Because that's what determines behavior. Everything else is just furniture preference. This one, let yourself enjoy it a little. Okay, the dream stuff. Because if you share a bed with a dog, you have definitely experienced this. It usually starts with a twitch, one leg, then another, then this muffled, almost embarrassed little sound, not quite a bark, not quite a whimper, somewhere in between. A boof, almost, like they're trying to bark in a library. And then sometimes the full body gets involved, all 4 legs cycling in this rhythmic running motion while their eyes stay completely closed. What's happening is almost identical to what happens in humans during REM sleep. The brain is processing, consolidating, replaying. Dogs have the same sleep architecture we do. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM, and during REM, their motor cortex fires. They're running in their sleep, chasing something, being chased, playing out scenarios their brain decided were worth revisiting. Stanley Korn, a neuropsychologist who spent years studying dog cognition, suggests that smaller dogs tend to dream more frequently than larger breeds, but that larger dogs have the more dramatic physical dream sequences, which tracks if you've ever been kicked square in the shin by a sleeping Labrador at 4 a.m. Rub your shin instinctively for effect. The beautiful thing about watching this happen next to you, really watching it, is that it's one of the most unguarded moments you'll ever see from your dog. Completely vulnerable, completely themselves. And they chose to be that way right next to you. Quieter. This is the guilt section. Here's where most people start to spiral a little. Am I making them too dependent? What happens when I travel? What if I'm building a dog who can't handle being alone? It's a real fear. And I want to be careful here because separation anxiety is a real thing. It's genuinely distressing for dogs and it deserves real attention. But bed sharing on its own does not cause it. Separation anxiety is rooted in insecure attachment, unpredictable environments, and a lack of taught coping skills. It's not caused by physical proximity during sleep. In fact, research on secure attachment in dogs, and there's a growing body of it, suggests the opposite. Dogs with stronger bonds to their owners, who feel more consistently safe in their presence, tend to handle separations better because they've built up a reservoir. They know what safe feels like, which means they can recognize when it'll return. The bed, for many dogs, is the one place they stop scanning. They stop monitoring every sound, processing every threat assessment. Their muscles finally fully release. That rest, the real rest, is what fills that reservoir. You're not creating a problem by being close. You're building something they'll draw on when you're not there. I'm almost amused. This one is personal. Why do they always gravitate to the exact spot where your body heat is concentrated? You shift your legs. They follow. You turn over. They readjust to stay in contact with your calf. It's like they have a thermal tracking system running at all times, specifically calibrated to find the warmest part of you and press their full weight against it. I used to think, actually, let me be honest, I used to know that my dog did this to keep me awake deliberately, like some kind of passive-aggressive protest against my bedtime. Except, wait, that's completely wrong. That's me projecting a motive onto behavior that has a straightforward biological explanation. Dogs have a higher baseline body temperature than humans, around 101 to 102.5 degrees Fahrenheit. At rest, they lose heat faster than we do. When they push their weight against your legs, they aren't being annoying, they're thermoregulating. You're a heat source, a living, breathing, very patient radiator. And here's the thing. This same behavior is what wolf packs do when they sleep communally. The thermal benefit of group sleeping is measurable. It was, for thousands of years, a survival mechanism. Your dog isn't being clingy, they're being ancient. Which brings us to the last point, the one that comes back to the very beginning. Slow down completely. The energy shifts here. It's 3 a.m. again. You're lying there, cramped, slightly too warm, with a paw draped over your arm and the sound of slow, even breathing filling the room. The same scene we started with. But you know more now, right? You know that breath is synced to yours. You know that paw is there because at some level of their brain that doesn't have language or logic, they calculated that next to you is the safest coordinate in the world. And they didn't just decide that tonight. They decided it in every 3 a.m. before this one. Every night they chose your side over the floor. Every time they circled 3 times, sighed, and went still. That's not habit. That's accumulated trust. That's thousands of small moments of you being there, stacking up into something they carry around during the day when you're not home, when the house is empty and they're on the couch waiting, the paw on your arm. Look at your arm. Pause. It doesn't have a translation. It's not a trained behavior. It's not a trick or a response to a cue. It's just the most honest thing they know how to say. I trust you with my sleep. I trust you with my most unguarded self. I am choosing, again, to be here. That's the whole thing. That's what you're protecting when you don't push them off at 3 a.m. Slow, warm. The camera pans gently across the bed. A dog's face is peaceful in low light. People ask if it's healthy, if it's good for them. And I get why. We all want to be doing it right. But I think the more honest question is, have you ever felt the specific, irreplaceable quiet of a dog resting their head on your shoulder after a day that came very close to breaking you? Not performing, not wanting anything, just there. Soft, steady tone. It's not about rules. It's not about who's in charge of the bedroom. It's about the fact that in their most vulnerable state, eyes closed, legs twitching, completely exposed, they chose to be right next to you. Let them stay. Yes, there's fur on your pillow. Wells, your legs are slightly wrong. That's the price. And it's not really a price at all. Small, real smile. If you're currently sleeping with your dog, let me know in the comments. And if someone in your life has given you grief about it, send them this video. See you in the next one.